Fantastic
Hello,
production.
everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nights of the Neurocareers Roundtable. And we are talking today about where is neurotech headed next and how can you be a part of it. And today our topics are BCIs for entertainment, dream recording, human-robot collaboration, and AI-driven experiences. And we also have an amazing international panel. My name is Milena Korostenskaja. I am a Neurocareers Coach and host of Neurocareers Doing the Impossible. We have Frédéric Simard, who I hope will join us. He might be a little late, who is a CEO of React Technologies, and he connects BCIs to entertainment and adaptive AIs. And he's joining us from Canada. I'm joining you from the United States. We have also Taisija Demcenko. Taisija, yes, and Taisija is originally from Lithuania, but she is joining us today from France, where I think she is doing absolutely amazing job on dream recording. Yes, but we will ask her what she is up to, and she is a bio and neuro and AI engineer. And we have also Jaime Riasco-Salas, who is a PhD candidate in cognitive science, and he is joining us today from Colombia. Welcome, Jaime. And yes, he is a researcher in human-robot collaboration, multimodal interactions, and BCIs. And last but not least, we have Emmanuel Peter, who is embedded system engineer and IEEE chair, undergraduate researcher in applied AI and robotics. Welcome, Emmanuel. So thank you everyone for joining. And I think we have Frédéric. Yes, we have Frédéric Simard. Here is he. Hello, Frédéric. Thank you so much for joining. So we're all here. And the most, I think, important part of all this conversation today that you as our listeners, as our viewers, you can directly communicate with this amazing team and ask questions and have conversations. So please, please, please send your questions. You will get your answers and we will have very valuable and enjoyable conversation. So let's start. Let's begin. Who would like to give a brief introduction? Mm-hmm. Who is ready?
Frédéric.
Oh, hi.
Frédéric.
Sorry, I just got here. Hey, thank you for having us, Milena. It's a pleasure to join you. So I'm the CEO of React Technologies. We're specialized in emotional, cognitive, and physiological analysis. So we use brain-computer interface technology. We have a multimodal approach. So I still call it a BCI, but I like to include like pretty much any biosignals that are available. And our specialty is really about this emotional, cognitive, and physiological metrics. And our goal, not our goal, but I mean, what we do is real-time measurements and also develop offline analytics to conduct like proper automated analytics to provide a statistical analysis, population analysis, and to be able to analyze experiences, basically.
Yes, amazing experiences. I will just explain a little bit to our viewers because I'm amazed. I'm telling everyone about the work that Frédéric does. Frédéric can look at the experiences of people, let's say, watching movies, going to exhibitions. He actually does it. He goes to exhibitions and he provides devices to people. And people are walking or watching all these amazing pieces of art. And Frédéric estimates what is their emotional response, what's going on in the brain of the people when they're exposed to arts, when they're exposed to certain movies, what really triggers their interest. He creates those experiential landscapes, even of people walking at different places. Yes, where he lives, he is doing various experiments. So I think that's so unique. That's so amazing what you do, Frédéric. So thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you. I have a few images. So, I mean, I just want to make sure everybody gets the time. Everybody's doing amazing work here, but I mean, I have a few things I can show you during the presentation.
Yes, we are looking forward to it, and we are looking for questions from our audience as well. Okay, thank you for your introduction, Frédéric. Who would like to speak next to introduce themselves?
Okay, I can follow. Hello, everyone. I am Jamie, a PhD student here in Cognitive Science in Potsdam University in Germany. I'm coming from Colombia, mechatronics engineer in my bachelor, master degree in computer science in Brazil. And I developed my master thesis about BCI, introducing a supernumerary BCI. I mean, with this, using illusionary limbs in order to create more of additional control signals for BCI. After that, I started some academical positions in Colombia, tried to disseminate and training students in BCI for almost 5 years. And then I moved to Germany to pursue my PhD in cognitive science, where BCI is my main focus. I try to understand better cognitive states during human-robot interaction using BCI. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. And I also want to talk a bit about Jamie. His podcast is also on Neurocareers. You can listen as well as Frédéric's and Taisija's. But what really impressed me by what Jamie did, that BCIs really were not very much introduced and known in Colombia. And he took that initiative, that leadership to start introducing this field in Colombia, in the place where he lives. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And not only that, he is actively participating in creating events in Latin America in general. And today he will be talking about that, that promote computational neuroscience and BCIs in not only in Colombia, but in Latin America in general. So yes, thank you very much, Jamie, for joining us. Okay, who would like to speak next?
I can be next.
Taisija, yes.
Hi, my name is Taisija. I'm based in Lithuania. Currently, I am in France. So I am a bioengineer and machine learning engineer. And my specialization is in electroencephalography signal. So I'm affiliated with the Donders Sleep and Memory Lab, and also recently got affiliated with MIT Media Lab. And my work is about reconstruction of the dreams. So I'm currently working on this project in France with my colleague, and we are trying to decode brain signals into dream visuals straight from the brain without any need of dream reports or trying to remembering your dream, because you probably know that we forget a lot of our dreams. You can maybe remember some of it at the very morning. So we are trying to get them, all of them, out of your night's sleep. So this is a little ambitious project, but we are doing it. So this is it about me, I think, for now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Taisija. Great introduction, and also a couple of words about Taisija. That we already talked in our previous live events that BCI become already a reality of science fiction. Yes, science fiction, but implemented in our reality. And this dream recording, it might sound like a science fiction, but it's amazing that there are actual real steps that we can take to start recording dreams and decode dreams. From our EEG activity, which is absolutely amazing. And I think Taisija's other interest really helps her to really expand her mental map of what's possible. And do this amazing stuff, because Taisija will mention that she is also a science fiction writer. Yes, and she writes amazing work. So maybe Taisija even can mention if you feel comfortable about that today. So, but that's why I really think that it's very important to be very open to the information that is coming and from science fiction, from various other fields, because technology becomes so powerful that we can make many things that we thought are fictional, we can make it a reality. So, of course, with time, with effort, but it's possible. So thank you very much, Taisija. Okay, and we have Emmanuel Peter, who is joining us from Nigeria. Yes, Emmanuel, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel Peter. I'm an undergraduate student of Electronic and Electrical Engineering from Obafemi University, Ile-Ife. So, I'm an embedded systems engineering specializing in rehabilitation robotics, and my niche is upper limb stroke rehabilitation. And at the same time, I'm a content writer as well, and I very much love writing about BCI because my first interaction with BCI was when I read Rajesh Rao's book. And I mean, I took it upon myself as a challenge to demystify a good number of things inside that book. What do I mean by demystify? I mean that most of the knowledge in that book are not very well understood by an average person. So I enjoy like drawing parallels between the unusual things in nature to ensure that even an average mind reads what I put out there and are able to like very much coin some very deep insights from it. So yeah, a BCI enthusiast and an embedded systems engineer from Nigeria. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And of course, I will add a couple of words about Emmanuel as well, how I invited him, how did it happen, because I saw Emmanuel to be very active on our in our neurotech groups here in our neurotech society on LinkedIn. And I remember that he decided to learn about BCIs, and he was posting regularly, day 1, day 2, and so on and so forth. He was posting about his learning, about his experiences studying about BCIs and discovering and new books and new researchers and research that's been done. So I was very impressed by his interest, by his persistence, and by sharing the knowledge, because the way how he did it, he also was showing a way for others to do the same, which I think was amazing. So it really inspired me to invite him to our conversation as well. So thank you very much, Emmanuel. Okay, very good. And I would like to invite again our listeners to send questions. And meanwhile, we, I think, can start with our projects. Yes, so each of you is doing something unique and beautiful in the field of BCIs. Let's share what's going on, yes, with you and with your projects right now, where you are. Who would like to start?
I can get started.
Yes.
So my field, as I said, we're developing an expertise in emotional, cognitive, and physiological analysis. I'll just say emotional cognitive, if you allow me, because it's a bit wordy. So we're developing. I started with a multimodal system that uses webcams for to capture facial expressions. Facial expressions are probably the best way to capture emotional reactions. I mean, if you look at, there's many ways. Some people try to do it with EEG only, but from my experience, facial expressions is really what carries the best facial expressions. Now, the challenge that we had, I think I have to roll back all the way to 2019. The challenge we faced then is that a webcam is pretty good. The technology is pretty good to capture facial expressions. There are some limitations with lighting, face angles, and everything, but overall it works well. But it's a static installation. You need to be facing a webcam for it to work well. But the demands from our clients, our market, was to be able to measure the experience of people as they go about, as they walk around. And I like to put it this way, at the urban scale, to be able to capture emotional and cognitive metrics, not only when I'm facing a computer, a webcam, but as I go about anywhere. So this is the challenge we took upon in 2020, that is to build a fully wearable system that captures the metrics we knew had values, that is cognitive engagement and the 8 emotions. You should look into the facial action coding system if you're interested in which emotions can be measured, but roughly smiles, anger, surprise, so these emotions. And what we built is over time. So I have right here this is what we call the version that we call the MVP. Okay, so it's a minimal viable product. So this is probably the 5th or 7th version of the system. You see, when it's adjusted, it's pretty easy to put in. You see very quickly, but there's an obvious cable here. Okay, so this is why I call it the MVP. So to cut down on development time and development costs, what we build, this is a strategy, a business strategy where you have a vision for a final product, but what you do is you break it down into steps. Okay, so this allowed us, with the cable, to move much faster and to test the hypothesis in the field and to develop the knowledge, the expertise, and kind of like step by step towards the actual vision that we had in mind. Now, so this, like I said, is probably the 6th version. And the first was 2021, and there's probably one version every year. So now, and where we're at now, this is a prototype. Okay, this is, you see, no more cables. So all the electronics now is embedded behind the ear. This is a prototype. And now, yesterday, I received the final parts. You see, it's still broken up, but those are the parts that will make the actual headset. So this was only a prototype here. You see where the electronics is hosted, but now it's going to be like a coherent structure for the headset, and this is what we built over the last few years. I'll just see. Are we using the RGB for this? Thank you. Okay, RGB, but there's a camera here that captures what's in front of you. But for facial expression analysis, you can use RGB cameras, but I found that infrared cameras work much better. It's much more reliable because you have the control over the lighting. And so the headset is what we're developing in terms of a product, but what we're developing in terms of what it's used for. Okay, we have a specialization in entertainment. Okay, we try to develop a lot in entertainment, so we use our headset to be able to. I'm sharing. Can you, Milena, activate the show? Oh, okay. Everybody can see the camera, right? And we're also developing along with the headset the approach to be able to analyze and interpret the data, which is a challenge because as I was putting it early in our career, is every experience was unique. It was the first time we were doing everything. So when we were coming out of like evaluating experience, the clients were asking us, is it good? And truth is, we were like, well, we don't know, you're the first. No, so we had to build kind of like this knowledge base from which now we can interpret and make recommendations regarding entertainment productions. So what I show here is the white book that we wrote. It's called Mindscape Emotions. And basically what we did over 3 years, we found volunteer experiences to allow us to go on the field and capture the data. So you see, so this is the complete kit here. That's the MVP. And we went around. What again? I can show you. So you see, this is, for instance, instrumenting for a museum experience, and we build kind of the tools to be able to build these. So you see, this is a position map. So there's some positioning instrumentation, and now this is not the nicest one. I'll show you like I think what is the. Okay, so here you see this is the equipment tested. I like to put it tested in the rough Canadian winter. So we went out. It needs to be robust. It's very hard to not very hard, but the environment can be a bit tough on the equipment. So this is a GPS-based mapping here of the position. So this experience specifically is an immersive forest audiovisual experience. So people walk in the forest and they enjoy some exhibition there. So we see them going around in the loop. Then we build some tools to analyze the data and extract what I call a state of minds, which is a combination the dominant emotional and cognitive states that emerge from the data. It's kind of like a reduced dimensional representation. So here we have like experiential map. And what is nice here is that it tells the story from a spatial perspective of what people feel at different places along the journey of the experience. And if you want to go philosophical, it's interesting to ask is the emotional and cognitive states a property of, does the emotional and cognitive state become a property of the location at some point? No, it's kind of like when we try to think more philosophically, because if you have 20 people that goes along the same path and feel something similar, it becomes almost a property of the sites instead of on top of being told by the people. So it's kind of just like an interesting perspective to put it this way. So you see here, so we have like a cognitive engagement. In purple, you have a surprise. Yellow is happiness. And what's interesting here, one of the insights that came out of this is you see, so early on, this is a chronological map. So this is the same experience, but plotted against time this time now. And what you see is early on, people express a lot of surprise. But as the experience goes on, surprise becomes less, because at some point people just get it and they're less impressed, but it's replaced by more happiness. So you see how this emotional transition along the experience, where people are initially very surprised and wowed, and then it becomes more of like happiness. And further, what we were able to tell to the client is that you see happiness is expressed between the zones. So this is a social aspect. So you see, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but basically we use this data to tell the experience that people felt during when they were doing this. And this is very important insights for anybody building entertainment productions. They need to make sure that people stay entertained for the whole duration. They need to identify if there's any gaps in the experience. And also we try to bring them to lead them to build experiences that are both engaging, cognitively engaging, and emotional, also trigger emotional response. And the thing, it's kind of like a compromise. You can't do both at the same time. So you try to build an experience that sometimes is more cognitive, something that is more emotional. And through this, you can hopefully create something that is truly memorable, and also that will not only satisfy people, but turn them into actual promoters of the experience. That's kind of like the perspective there. So it shows, so you see, so we, this project that you see here now, it's kind of the book is more or less completed, but you see, we've done a lot of experience. I mean, that's kind of like the idea here. And it's been a fantastic adventure, and it helped us build this knowledge base. So now when we go into entertainment experience, we can diagnose, we can discuss and help them to understand what worked and what didn't and stuff like that. So we see so that's the Mindscape Emotion project. So basically that's what we're doing. we're going from on one side we're building a product, on the other side we're developing this expertise at analyzing experiences, and all this this is basically the motivation behind our business. Then there's the other challenge to turn it into an actual business, but that's pretty much what we're doing at React.
Yes, yeah, very, very impressive. And let's maybe ask our panelists, maybe they have some questions or comments.
Yeah, I would say very impressive too. It is very in the line of the research we are doing here. I'm very happy to see that the people is doing, because when you say, okay, I am doing a lot of things, maybe it could be new, maybe you are alone doing this stuff, but later you figure out that there are several other researchers doing this thing. And I'm very impressed about this mapping in the space, about the emotional space. I don't know if you are aware about this emotional urban. It is a project, emotional city to be more precise. It is a project mapping through questionnaires and also photos from users in Berlin. And they want to create a big mapping of where is the most depressive or more happy places based on these user ratings. So of course they just asking how you feeling, what is your sensation, can you share us a pictures, or what are you facing, looking right now, and so on. And that is a kind of a big approach to understand better emotions in a group scale. That it's actually a very amazing approach, but you are mixing a little bit of both of them with this individual approach using
I'm
this.
sorry, it's not individual. Those are group approach. Most of the experience that I've shown are at least 20 people.
Okay, but they are also including the biosignals for each individual, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That you are mixing both of the things, individual and group approach. So individual with the signatures, I could imagine the EEG signatures and the other biosignals across the participants, and then the other subjective ratings based on what I am feeling right now.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree, and I think. But look, first, it's very trendy right now to do this kind of projects. Mostly architecture. I don't know if you noticed, but no architecture. This is where there's a lot of work being done. In terms of so the project I just showed you, this is those experiences we've done 2 or 3 years ago. Just to give you a rough idea, back then the headset we had good results, but it was not. I would say we needed about a group of people to be able to reject all the noise and to really get like a population analysis. So we needed the population analysis to make the results stands out. So that's kind of like what happened, what was going on back then, because as you know, I mean, it's quite hard to capture these signals reliably as you go, as you walk around. So it was kind of like a noisy, and then you have all the models to extract reliably emotional and cognitive states. But since we've improved a lot the headset, the electrode technology we changed, the models have improved, and now I can do individual experiences. So that's kind of like the part that I didn't show, but now I can go myself. I work with in movies. I really like to go in movies, so I go in a movie theater and I will shoot my personal experience during a movie, and this opens the way to actually do individual analysis or at least develop some psychography. That is group experiences based on emotional and cognitive elements. So all of this, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, but when you start to do that, it's a lot of work. Even to organize one experience with 20 person, it's a lot of work. So there's kind of like a logistics element that comes into place. We all want to be able to map a whole city or even a whole country in terms of emotional and cognitive states. But the logistics of it is, and the cost of it is very expensive. So I mean, so the idea here is just like a little bit like the MVP approach, is to take it one step at a time. So a few years ago, we were able to do these one-day experiences and collect it. I said one day, generally took 2 or 3 days to build like the data set for one experience like that. We run with 5 headsets. So when we show up, we have 5 headsets. And the logistics is really, look, you have to instrument everyone. You have to collect the data, the reliability of the equipment as well. Also, you need to make equipments that don't denature the experience. I've seen some instruments that basically it's a backpack and with a full cap and everything. But now, I mean, you're kind of like, this is a little bit different from our approach where we try our system to be forgettable, at least as people do the experience. But of course, there's many initiatives in the world that tries to work along this side. We're just one of many, and your perspective is totally pertinent.
Yeah, actually, I participate in this backpack experiment in Berlin. We were just testing how we can synchronize EEG 64 channels with eye tracking during outdoor activity. Just walking, go to the store, getting some ice cream, and come back to the lab. I maybe can share some of the videos we captured right now. Later I will try to get this. But yeah, the main message about this is there are several challenges, of course. In technical aspects, there are a lot of challenges to do. Logistical challenges, as you mentioned, you need to train the subjects, you need to understand how this measure will make sense for the hypothesis of what are you trying to get in from the data. But also, how we can keep the ecology of the measure we are trying to get from the participant. For example, if we are inducing some emotional states, we need to be clear what is this emotional state means to the subject, because emotion is so highly relative and personal or individual basis. It could be a little bit challenge to get a generalization across the subjects. And that is what we are researching here right now, actually, in order to increase the accuracy of emotion identification using a BCI in this case. But it is amazing to hear how you approach it's relatable, and also you are getting a working version of that. It's amazing.
Thank you. It's a lot of work. I mean, there's there's a deep discussion to have. I mean, when you open the question, what is an emotion? What is how is it measurable through the biosignals? Because facial expression analysis is kind of like one of the anchor that we use, but very quickly we realized that it was not sufficient, or at least it was not sufficient. It wasn't a complete set. There's not 8 emotions. There's many more, and also there's the labeling of the emotions that comes into play, which is a little bit what you said, like just like the corner smile, for instance. No, the contempt, which is facial expression for contempt, can be slightly positive. It can be a small smile, or it can be slightly negative. It could be true contempt. And this comes with the contextual interpretation. So this is one of the challenge, to be able to reliably interpret the signs that we get. I try to see the emotion not as a absolute metrics, but rather as a how do you say that? When you're a detective, what is like a cue about what's going on. So there's one thing I know for sure, and I'm pretty certain about that. When there's an emotion that is expressed, something's happening. You see, this is the basic. When there's a face that is being made, something's happening. And from there, you try to work what is actually going on. This is a sign, this is a cue about what's happening within the person, emotional or within the person. And then you link with the environment, you link with the history, what comes after, what comes before, and try to form an interpretation of what the person felt through this. And this is where it's very hard, because and hard to automate, because like I said, some emotions don't have and not only that, but the same emotion can be aligned or disaligned with the desire of the experience. I work with a horror theater. Okay, horror theater is the 3rd year we're doing it again, and their goal is to make people feel discomfort. Their goal, this is the alignment of the experience. So when you measure disgust in this experience, it's actually what they want. They want you to feel disgust at some point in the experience, which is very unsettling. But then disgust, if you measure it elsewhere, it's a very negative emotion. But in this specific context, this is what people go to feel. So you see, so the alignment of the experience is challenging. You also have artifacts like the sun. When the sun comes, the sunset, you'll express some anger. So all of this is really like the challenges there is into what we're measuring and what is actually felt between from the person. But the goal through this, and this is where I think it's super interesting in terms of a field, is that everything is left to discover, or at least a lot is left to discover. So all the teams are working, trying to get this data, the first data basically, and to try to work out what's going on with these signals, because we know the signals are good, we know they're real, but how to interpret them, how to generalize an interpretation and bring them into ideally some common ground interpretation. This is probably where our work will eventually merge. Is you'll come out with some insights, I'll come out with some insight, others will come out with their own insights, and at some point we hope to be able to build a corpus of interpretation for these signals.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
have
much.
I have already the video. I can share this small video about.
Yes. You can
Let me check. How can I share this? Local videos. Okay, here. Avanza. Let's this media player.
Okay. Yes. Here it is. This is Jamie. Very interesting.
Yeah, we use collecting data outside in a walk in a very natural scenario, just like buying ice cream in a summer in Berlin, And
How did people react at you?
many people just taking pictures and say that, wow, that is sci-fi, something like that, and what is going on with me? Yeah, the thing is, again, we need some pilot testing. This was for piloting how we can actually collect this data together with eye tracking and EEG, meanwhile we are walking and doing stuff, because this is a big challenge to create mobile BCI, and that is one of my aim during my PhD, to create protocols about mobile BCI, and that is I will talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm so glad that Frédéric pointed out the challenges. I think that's so important, and I truly appreciate you doing it. And we also have a question from Prasun Gupta, the one who already asked you before, Frédéric. So he thanks you. He says that he's also working with the thermal camera. So he was worried about the lighting and all those kind of things.
I'll just go. I worked a lot. The facial expression analysis through camera, I put it this way: it's more of a camera problem than an actual algorithmic problem. The dealing with this technology, we did a lot. I haven't worked a lot with cameras in the last 5 years. That's it. But before that, it was truly like you have resolution issues, you have like angles, depending on how the people are looking. This one is harder. But the lighting conditions can turn a smile into a contempt expression, simply because you have half the face can be shaded. If you use infrared cameras, you take control of the lighting conditions. We had to work in movie theaters, and RGB cameras couldn't work there because it was dark. But there are a few challenges. But if you take the infrared approach, at least it's the most reliable one, in my opinion. This is really we build on our own. We build our own. We kind of like modified an existing camera, and we build our own lighting setup, and we could have reliable capture in movie theaters.
Mm-hmm. And I have a question. I'm very curious, because you mentioned at the very beginning, Frédéric, that for really decoding those emotional expressions, emotions, yes, the facial expressions are extremely important. So how much information do we need additionally from EEG, let's say, yes, to to make decisions about one or another emotion. So what, if you would take in percentages, how much information is from facial expression, how much from EEG, and how much from any other signals?
Okay, so that's a very, very interesting, this very interesting perspective. When you start with multimodal data, there's the first thing that comes into play is, let's say, arousal, for instance. Arousal can be measured through EDA, can be measured through EEG. Arousal, which is the intensity of the emotions. And what happens is okay, if I roll back, I started with multimodal data in 2017-ish. Okay, and back then everybody worked in silos. You had EDA experts, you had PPG experts, you had EEG experts, you had facial expressions expert, but everybody was kind of claiming my modality can do it all. Okay, and back then, I come from in-brain implants during the PhD, and then I moved to EEG. Okay, consumer grade EEG, and then at some point very early, I say, okay, what other signals, biosignals are happening? Because the first thing you notice with EEG, especially consumer grade, is that you don't get. It's a little bit disappointing because consumer grade EEG, you can't. Once you've done alpha wave, SSVP, it's quite limited what you can do with the consumer EEG system, and but you start to hear about these other biosignals, and you say, hey, which one? So what happens at some point is you say, what are the easiest sign I can measure to get what I want? Okay, I'm a very practical person. I have an engineering background. I'm a very practical person. So for emotions, for instance, you will find people that tries to identify emotions from EEG. And they will get somewhere, but it's much harder to get emotions from EEG than it is to get it from facial expressions, if you ask me. Okay, so in that regard, what I build my solution, and I know that there's a lots of opinions there. I like to put it that there's some buildup of experience as well on my end, but I mean, I don't want to create I can't create a debate, but I mean, I don't want to frustrate anyone. In my opinion, the best way to get emotional expressions, and you see I always use expressions, is through facial expressions. Facial expressions, really, it's a reaction. It's quick. You need you need to reach a certain level of intensity for it to show up through expressions, because I could have a poker face and say, yes, I have emotions. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's you can fake emotions. You can have people that express a fake smile, and we won't be able to tell the difference. So you see, it's not an absolute technology, but I do think that it's a pretty good technology under the right conditions, when people forget that they wear the equipment and that they're living an experience. The first thing, I come back to what I said earlier, if something happens here, they felt something. Now, what becomes like the interpretation and discussion that comes, and the expertise that comes into play, the interpretation of the context, so everything comes into play here. Now, we use EEG. I found that while facial expressions is, in my opinion, the best way to get emotional reactions, EEG is probably the best way to get cognitive states. Okay, cognitive engagement, which is very easy to measure, and we have solid results with cognitive engagement. It can be measured very efficiently with EEG, and much harder with facial expressions. You can use eye features. No, you can look at the pupil size. You can look at eye movements as well to get a sense of cognitive engagement. But if you use EEG, it's a very reliable metric to get cognitive engagement. So this is what I use it for. I use EEG to get cognitive workload as well, which is kind of correlated with the engagement. I have some results with in terms of motivation. If you use frontal asymmetry, I have some results with EEG measuring frontal asymmetry, but I wouldn't call it something that is conclusive yet. I mean, I look at the data, it tells me something, but it's not something that I understand enough in the real world to be able to be conclusive about. And you get relaxation, and you get like alpha wave. So you get this with EEG. So you see, I try not too much to mix the multimodal to give me this to feed into the same metric. So I have EEG that gives me cognitive metrics. Facial expressions give me emotional reactions. EDA will give you a sense of kind of like emotional intensity. Actually, I tried to interpret EDA as a state of physiological arousal, I tried to distinguish it from actual emotional reactions, even though they're not anti-correlated. I found that EDA is a good measure of like just like how is your body primed to feel and express emotions. And also I found that EDA and kinds of engagement are a little bit anti-correlated. Anyway, that's a different thing. So there's kind of like interpretation there. And then you have the heart dynamics. Heart is really good at telling you metabolism. Heart rate tells you about metabolism. And HRV will tell you about the stress level. So you see each modality maps onto a thing. One thing though with HRV is that HRV is heavily affected by heart rate. So now you have to build a model that kind of like build an invariance in that. So that's basically like, so I don't compete. It's very rare, given that I do this mapping, it's rare that I get two modalities that contradicts each other. Okay. But I do have interpretation that sometimes need to say, look, these metric tells me that this other metric tells me that, the context tells me that. So my expert's interpretation is this. Okay, and then you explain to the client when this happens. You explain to the client that my certainty about this this interpretation is a little bit lower than if all signs were pointing in the same direction. It comes down. No, it's not a perfect science, and when it comes to biometrics experience analysis, and I like to in the field where I operate, which is commercial applications. We don't need 95% of certainty. We need something. No, I call it good enough science. I provide 80% certainty, and it's good enough for most of my clients to say, hey, you know what? That's a great informed opinions. We have this other information. We combine with the surveys. We combine with other approach to get this. So all of these are all cues. Now we all interpret them as cues to guide us the right direction. And even though if it's imperfect, it's still pretty good information. And generally, it kind of agrees with surveys. But I'd say that the biggest contradictions I get is sometimes it's from surveys. This is where someone can come and say, I like the experience, and they did. It's like, oh, okay, maybe they did, but that's a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Frédéric. And Taisija also wrote that she wants to ask you a question. Taisija, yes, please.
Yeah, so I want to ask from the technical perspective more. So you showed the headset. I didn't notice. So are there only ECG electrodes, or where does as well EEG?
That's a great. Okay, so this is a great consideration. A great. I didn't have the time to address that, but okay, I built the system with the idea in mind of having it fit a smart glasses form factor. This was early on, kind of like a constraint. No, like just when I was designing the idea, I was like, I want to fit with. Because we're aiming obviously for consumer or at least day-to-day BCIs. So for me, instrumenting behind the head was something I was willing to sacrifice, given that I knew that I was going to lose some of very good EEG metrics. Like my system is not well designed to do P300. It's not well designed. I haven't tested SSVP. I'm pretty sure I can get some good SSVP, but definitely not the best system if you want to instrument P300, SSVP, or anything that happens parietal, behind the head, or even motor imagery. It's definitely not designed for motor imagery. So in terms of that, we build within some constraints. This comes from the field I'm in, which is more that comes from consumer grade EEG, okay, and that works towards the devices that can be worn every day and all day. You won't wear a headset from when you wake up to, and now I wear contact, but I wear glasses, and you see the idea was experience needs to be this. This was meant to be the experience. I go in the field, and sometimes I'm alone, and I need to instrument 5 people, and I have 15 minutes to do it. Okay, in the field where I am. So you see, I cannot think in terms of head caps. I cannot think in terms of, I can fit all these kits into big wallets. I can fit 6 kits in big wallets, and I can go take the plane, land somewhere, and instrument people in the next half an hour. So you see, there's kind of like we work within some constraints that we need to be super agile, super flexible, and this leads to making some sacrifices. And for this, so if you look at it, I'll give you the secret. Okay, give me a second. Do I have? I'll give you the secret. My headset is basically a Muse. Okay, it's a Muse. Oh, are you guys still there? Oh,
Yes,
I
you are.
hear
sorry.
you.
Okay, I just went full screen. Okay, you see how it's a Muse?
Yeah.
A Muse augmented to measure facial expressions, emotions with the you see, and now I'm revealing, but you see like the all the gold plates are basically contact points. Okay, so it's a Muse augmented to provide emotions because my first product was a Muse combined with a webcam. Uh, but I totally agree. It's not the best EEG headset. If you look only for EEG, and especially in terms of visual, it's a sacrifice I was willing to make to have to gain this agility and all. I'll tell you, I'm still now. I mean, I'm still indecisive. That is, you see, recently we've added this elastic behind the head. Okay, like last year, just like you see, just a standard like elastic to attach glasses, and it greatly improved the stability of the headset for long experiences and also improve the comfort because we do experiences sometimes that last 3 hours. If there's a tension behind the ear, for 45 minutes, pretty much everybody can do it. But for 3 hours, people will have some strains. So balancing with the elastic kind of make it much more comfortable by releasing a little bit of tension behind the ear. Now, why do I say that? Is because I haven't done it, but the system actually used 7 sensing electrodes, and the electronics allows for 8. So I'm having the idea of maybe bringing an electrode behind the head here. It's not done yet. It's probably not going to happen right now, but there might be a possibility to bring an electrode behind the head to get these probably just V1 and V2 regions to get better performance with alpha wave and SSVP and this kind of stuff. I'm not sure if we can do P300. Some people have done P300 with the Muse, although not. I don't think it's reliable enough to do single trial classification. But that's a little bit of where I'm going. Now, I mean, I've taken a lot of time. I'm totally happy if you have more questions, but I really want to hear about your work about mapping dreams and stuff like that. So you see, I talk a lot, Milena. So if you let me go, I'll just take a snatch all the time, but I really want to hear about other people's work.
Yes, and we will go into that. But Emmanuel also had a question to you, so let's just maybe you can try to answer it quickly, but let's give Emmanuel the possibility to ask. Emmanuel, please.
Again, it's a roundtable again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I was just wondering whether or not you had issues with like the dimensionality of your data, because I know you are trying to like get facial responses, like emotions. Let's say somebody is happy, there's a way their facial muscles act up. Let's say someone is sad. So did you face issues with, when you were doing your data processing concerning probably you were trying to build a model that helps you to interpret. So at a point in time, did you have like dimensionality issues and just have to like how were you able to work your way around it? And lastly, as well, I'd like to know the microcontroller you use in like building your equipment, because I'm very much curious to see like a microcontroller being able to like handle efficiently your data acquisition part of the project.
Great question here. Let me just think a little bit how so dimensionality issues, that's your question, right? At first I thought you were asking about artifacts. Dimensionality issues is actually okay. My background when I was a PhD student was I had a specialization. I'd say I got pretty deep into this whole dimensionality analysis, like Gaussian factor process. So I like to see the dimensional. Any dimensional representation, I see it as a friend more than a foe. That is, I like to take the data and just remap it into any space, latent space that I find useful. That's like my first reflex if I can't do like a simple linear separation. So in terms of dimensionality issues, it's really, I think it's like I said, I mean, it's really a great tool to analyze data, to be able to remove the noise, to remap and make your features more apparent. Now, there's one thing I'd say here in terms of like machine learning approach. I'm a little bit old school in regard to machine learning. That is, I was working with neural networks 20 years ago. I was really deep into neural networks back then, even before deep learning came out. I have a and back then we were still today. I don't want to sound like but we, before deep learning happened, what I've noticed is we were deeply trained in the mathematical aspects of machine learning, parametric modeling. I also developed quite an expertise in statistical analysis, statistical representation, and stuff like that. What I found, I'm not taking anything, but I found that a lot of people now are kind of jumping right away into deep learning. Why I say that is because most of the models we've developed here are heavily based on parametric modeling. We try to use dimensionality, latent space representation to build features that have well-defined statistical property, and then we try to use parametric models because we need less data. We can do real-time training, real-time calibration. So we do real-time calibration. So I'm heavily biased towards finding what is the simplest and best model I can use, and often it involves doing some manual transformation or defining our own pipeline through some transformation that we've defined. So I know it's a little bit of a convoluted answer, but it's kind of like my angle on machine learning there. So, but yeah, okay, perfect. So. But dimensionality, if you're getting started in machine learning, or even if you're advanced in machine learning, you need to understand these notions of rotating the data and manipulating the data linearly, non-linearly to build. When you think about neural networks, all the stage but the last one are meant to transform the problem into a linearly separable problem. The last stage is a classifier. So that's basically like how our neural networks work. So yes, you need to, those are your friend, and understanding them helps you build better classifier for sure. In terms of electronics, that's a good question. I don't do, I'm trained in electrical engineering. I used to do electronics design. Nowadays, I outsource the problem because you can be you can be great at everything. So now I outsource. In terms of the microcontroller we use, yeah, there's two big trends in developing wearables in brain-computer interface. You have one trend that you see like the Neurosity Crown, you see where they do the computation on boards, and you have the other trends where we only do the data sampling and we do the computation outside the device. So no, you have the choice. You have two teams. You have to pick which one you're in when you start the wearable. I'm on the side of just like capturing the data and sending it remotely to my vision is that simply we have a phone in our pockets, a supercomputer. Everybody has a supercomputer in their pocket, so why adding weights on your head? So that's just my take on it. And the microcontroller we're using is a STM. Yes, I'll let you know. You're taking notes. STM32WB55. Okay. If you want, by the way, my device is open firmware. I'm one of the few that goes into this open firmware approach. The hardware, I'm not open hardware, but I'm open firmware and open SDK to what I see is if anybody wants to work with this kind of device, I mean, I just want to bring the barrier of adoption much lower. So if you want interested in, you can get it. But it's a STM32WB55. It's a module that integrates both BLE and the MCU, the microcontroller, into a single module. Yeah, when you build a system like that, I'd say my recommendations is try to use established modules, especially for your first versions. Don't worry, people tend to over-design things when they get started. They try to think of everything, over-engineer things. Try to go like with the ADS 1299, which is the gold standard. I know Analog Device has a chip on their end. I haven't wrote, I need to send them an email to know what they're using, but Analog Device has also a chip for that. So the ADS 1299 is a system on chip that does everything in terms of biosignal sampling. You connect it to an MCU, then you add like motion sensors and a few things, battery modules, and you basically have a brain-computer interface system right there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frédéric. Thank you, everyone, for questions. And let's then go. Taisija, please tell us everything about making a science fiction a reality. How is that possible to decode dreams? And how did even idea came about? And how did you start developing it? And where you are now with it? So,
yeah, thank you. So I will be quite short. Don't worry. The project is still in progress. But, well, again, I'm currently in France. I'm working on the project of dream reconstruction. And this idea came to me actually during the writing master thesis, when I wanted to find an interesting topic for myself, because I just transitioned from bioengineering to system biology, which is more data heavy. And I wanted to do something big. I didn't want to do just a side job for some PhD or something like that to help someone. I wanted to do my own project, and I decided that one of my childhood dreams was to remember my dreams really well, because I got a lot of inspiration from my dreams. I wrote some books, I wrote some music from my dreams, I got some ideas from that. And especially when I talk with other people and I hear that their dream recall is worse than mine usually, or some people even don't remember dreams at all, and I feel sad for them a little bit because of that. So I feel that dreams is a really big potential for human creativity, for human individuality. So I wanted to give this opportunity to remember your dreams in detail for everyone. So this is when I asked for someone who can help me to do this project when I started the master thesis. And this is when I actually met Milena Korostenskaja. And first it was just like a science fiction project, but throughout the course, because I was a student of Milena, I started to understand that I actually could achieve it if I would work on it, more, because it's already not so far to reach something like that. So this is why I started to work on it more seriously. And then I met a person from France who actually also wants to decode dreams. So we joined our strength and we're working together on this project. And I will also talk about the project a little bit. So the main motivation is that we forget a lot of dreams, right? And it doesn't really it's not important whether dreams are crucial for some, for example, medical analysis of, for medical diagnosis or something like that, because we are now talking about the entertainment, right? So dreams are actually just useful for the entertainment, for the creativity, but they have also the potential to be used in medicine and psychotherapy. So we forget a lot of dreams. Dreams are hard to describe, right? We cannot find sometimes that certain word, that emotion we felt, or maybe it's a certain object, it's so blurry. And we also can sometimes confuse the dreams with the wakeful memories, especially if some time went after the dreaming. So we start to mixing everything up. Did I dream it, or was it real? Stuff like this. So the objective is to somehow go from the subjective dream reports and subjective memories to more objective dream reconstruction directly from the brain activity. And this is already was started to be done at a Japanese laboratory by Kamitani, but they used fMRI for that. And for those who don't know what it is, it's a very big machine where you're put inside, and you cannot really have fMRI at home for that. And it also can affect your health a little bit. So what we're trying to do a consumer grade product. Of course, it's a long way to consumer grade. We will certainly start first with a medical device because this is where probably we will have more funding, more possibilities, but the end product should be consumer product. So somehow to get this cap, which you wear before going to sleep, you sleep with the cap. It should be comfortable, right? It should not be invasive, hopefully. And you wake up, you remove the cap, you go to your PC or telephone or something else, some other device. Maybe it can be a standalone device which recorded your dream during the whole period of the night, and you can see the visuals of your dream. Exactly how the visuals look, it's already a different question, but our vision is to have some sort of reconstructed 3D environment where you can relive your dreams. But again, we will start probably with simpler visuals, just a set of images or video. So we are working right now on this. We have a pilot experiment going on in France. We have a headset, EEG headset, because EEG is non-invasive, with 32 channels. We want to see whether it's enough to have such many channels, because it could be quite difficult to have even 16 channels in a consumer grade product. So we will want to scale down a little bit, but we're starting with many channels. And the idea is that you can imagine the main challenge of this project is that people dream, they don't remember what they dreamt about, but if we want to train some sort of a deep learning model which could decode, which could transform EEG signal into these visuals or maybe even emotions felt during the dreaming, we need some trained data set. And that trained data set usually means that we need it to be labeled. So we need to already have some labeled dreams to be able to record, to be able to train machine learning. And we have this egg and chicken problem, because to create a decoder for dreams, we need decoded dreams. So this is our main challenge, and we are tackling that by using the controlled environment of wakefulness. So first we'll train a model which can really decode visuals which were seen during wakefulness state. And we know that there is quite big correlation between wakeful activity when person sees things and the dreamt activity when person also sees or imagines things, but it's just already inside their head, not on the screen. But when it's on the screen, we can actually control everything, right, that the person sees. So we can collect that trained data and use it to already fuel our AI model. And this is our goal now. After the pilot study, we will be founding an AI research lab specifically to create this foundation model for dream decoding. So we actually also have a big request for all the viewers. We are collecting information, and we're collecting a list of beta testers, which could at some point join our experiments already as dreamers in some prototype we will have. So if you are interested in that, I highly suggest you filling out this form, which I will share, or Milena will share in the chat. Just a moment.
Yes, of course. Yes, I will share it immediately. So for everyone, please. Yes, here is information and you can join. And I already, thank you so much, Taisija. I already saw Jamie was saying that he saw some research from the lab. I think Dr. Milena, you mentioned. Yes, Jamie, maybe you can tell more, and maybe there is
sure. It was very nice that there is some interest on understanding with dreams in an objective way. You know, we have people who claims that they can reveal these dreams and interpret the dreams. Actually, yesterday I was watching a video about the book of Daniel, it's Bible, about the Babylonian kings and how he was able, or at least he has this ability of decoding and interpreting the dreams of the king of Babylonia, and he was very. It is a very interesting story. I can share with you later, YouTube video. about this. But I was just sharing some stuff or some research from a colleague of mine, Professor Marta Molinas in Norway. She's from Paraguay, but she's based in Norway several years ago, I guess 7, 8 years. I don't remember right now. But I shared some of her work. She presented one of her students presented in the ESAN 2024. It was in Belgium, this European Symposium in Artificial Neural Networks and Machine Learning. We organized it with Professor Fabian Loud, Professor Marta Molinas, and a special session in this conference about machine learning methods for BCI, advances and pitfalls. And this topic was presented at that time in this conference. And that is nice. I guess, as you mentioned, the big challenge is, again, to how we could labeling in order to easily recognize the stage and what each of these stage means in terms of the content, because we have already several stage classifiers, right? Based on what is the current stage of the person, not only based on EEG, but also based on heart rate. Usually, it's a smartwatch can do that, but try to just get in some of the content of the semantic information of the dreams. It's kind of a holy grail in any philosophical and engineer effort, and I'm very curious about that. To me, it's quite challenging to imagine how you could dealing with this labeling, but maybe the most important approach I could do will be after just dreaming, ask to the people just writing down what they have just dreamed about, using it to recreate, maybe with LLMs to try to recreate the scenes of the dream. And based on this recreation, you can match the EG data. That could be a very nice approach. But I don't know how are you doing these labelings, because it seems very challenging.
Yeah, actually, there is another way which can also be used in this case, but which is also quite difficult, is a lucid dreaming. So we recently visited Lucid Dream Symposium in Bern, in Switzerland, and we met a lot of researchers who study specifically lucid dreaming. And the lucid dreaming is when you are aware that you are in dream and you can control it. So a lot of dream and sleep studies are actually based on this lucid dreaming phenomena, because when a dreamer is lucid, they can move their eyes to indicate that they started to see this lucid dream. And after that, they technically can, because they can control the dream, they can evoke some specific visuals or do some specific actions, which they afterwards will also tell us that they did, because usually they also remember their dream quite well. And this can be used as a label already, because we will have recording of the EEG, and we'll also have these very easy to prove things that were in the dreams. But lucid dreaming is quite rare. So one thing which I really like to hear during this lucid dream symposium is that there are actually methods to train this ability to see lucid dreams, which is quite effective, I think. And there was a lot of several studies presented during symposiums which used this specific method, but I cannot tell any details now, but it's a specific process of inducing the lucid dreaming. But yeah, technically, if there would be some way to induce lucid dreaming even more precisely and fast, that would be an alternative way to collect data. And we actually plan, in any case, to validate our findings, our model with lucid dreamings. But we also have dream recall, which also can be helpful. And even if we cannot really control the dreams when it's not lucid dreams, we still can induce some part of the dream. So we can incubate the dream. So you know the Tetris phenomenon. When you play a lot of a game, for example, you do some sort of activity for the whole day, you usually will see a dream about that. So for example, I drove to Switzerland on a car, and already after the 2 days of just driving the whole day, you know, from France to Switzerland, I started dreaming the cars, I started dreaming the highway. So there are ways to do it, even using the dreams. But right now we're concentrating on the wakeful experiments, which are even more controllable. So
Yeah, very nice, very nice. I think I will be getting on the list of the dreamers now. I'm very curious. Emmanuel, Fred, do you have any questions to Taisija?
Okay, yes. Okay. Thank you so much for that, yeah. Because I love like novels as well. So mine is actually quite introspective concerning your sci-fis. So I'd like to know how your exposure to scientific fiction has actually like informed your decision in going into this particular project. Is there any correlation, and is there any point in time as well where you are working on your project and your passion for, I mean, sci-fi writing has actually maybe influenced or impacted the project?
that's
Thank
actually a
you.
great question. And I loved sci-fi, I think, all my life, at least from the childhood. As I remember, that was my favorite genre. And I also started writing quite early, and maybe I started from the more like fantasy things, but as far as I went in school, one was interested in science, I started to like specifically this genre when you have some logical continuity in the book and not just fantasy. So really, I don't know how to answer, because it's two ways actually, right? So my openness to sci-fi and constant search for how we can build the future in one or another way, but realistically how it can be actually be done, and not just fantasize about some specific sujet and that's it. But from the other side, again, I dreamt some of the things which I wrote afterwards. So it's a double-sided connection here. So I need dreams to write sci-fi, and I need sci-fi to believe in dreams. So I would say it like this. Did I answer your question?
Thank you, Taisija. And we have here a question from Alex Litovchenko. He's asking, any thoughts on commercial solutions that claim to induce lucid dreaming?
Yeah, the prophetic one. Yeah, I heard about them. I mean, they are in a very initial state, so we will see how it goes. But if they will create their product, maybe we will use it. But I don't have many thoughts on that. For now, I have my doubts whether it will succeed, but time will show.
Yeah, thank you. And Frédéric, do you have any questions, comments to Taisija?
I think it's a very interesting but very challenging project that you have, because dreams are. And I have two questions just to hear your thoughts here. One would be, how is visual imagery a proxy to actual dream decoding? Because I know your challenge is to decode the dream, but accessing the data is obviously, as you put it, is a problem. So maybe how is it transferable? What you can learn from actual awaken visual imagery, or what are the limitations? And the other side, I don't know if you had the time to think about the aspects of dreaming. Dreams, we wake up with an idea of a whole thing that happened, but truth is sometimes it's a very, very brief element of time that induce a wider idea. So I know that there's a movie, Inception, which I guess is amongst your favorite movie there. But the Inception, they say time in a dream is 10 times. I can't remember which way around, but basically 1 second in real time is 10 seconds in dream. And I remember a few personal experiences where indeed you fall asleep for half a second and you wake up with the whole story, but basically it was just a glimpse of time. So that's probably how have you had the time to think about this aspect? And then is visual imagery a proxy to dream decoding, and what are the opportunities and limitations?
So first about the imagery. Yes, usually it is seen as a more connected to dreamed imagery as just a wakeful perception. Again, this is something to check. First of all, wakeful perception is easier to control. We can already know all the details in the image because we want, in a perfect situation, in ideal situation, we want to have all the contents of the dream, like the color, the shape, the position. But when a person imagines something, it is quite difficult to imagine the whole scene. Maybe some people can do it, but it's quite rare, I believe. So even if you tell a person that imagine a red apple, for example, one person will imagine it big, one will imagine it small, maybe with some defects on it. So imagery is less controllable, and this is also a thing that we believe that we should start specifically from the dream perception, from the images which are already as they are. There is also a hypothesis about dreamed visuals, which goes from the idea that dreams are generated in those bursts of neuroactivity, for example, the PGO waves, and first the burst comes and then already the visual. So in that case, you can even imagine that it is more similar somehow to wakeful perception, but this is something to to look into, to analyze. And the second question was about the time continuation in dream, right? So this is also very interesting to think about. There are studies, and those studies especially, I like them because they prove that this dream reconstruction should work. I believe from Martin Dressler's laboratory, the Sleep and Memory Lab, where they studied people who have this REM sleeping disorder. So REM is the stage when we mostly dream. That's not the only stage. But REM sleeping disorder is mainly when people don't have the muscle atonia. So they are not, they can act out of the dream. They can move out of the dream because usually we're paralyzed when we are dreaming. And these people, because they act out of the dream, we can see what movements they do. And later from the dream reports, we can compare whether they dreamt about it or not. And these dreams, I think they were quite in real time. The movements were mostly in real time. So maybe, yes, some synthesis of ideas, it can, I imagine, and I think I felt something like that myself when dreaming. It can happen, can feel like it happens very fast, like you do a lot of connections between several stuff and you have this grand idea in a mere second. But for the visuals and maybe for the movement, for emotions, I believe that it is actually close to real life speed, or at least not too fast. But this is again something that we will see when our product will work. How fast is this construction? So a lot of questions to answer.
A lot of questions.
Do you mind just a follow-up? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but do we have many more dreams that we experience than we actually remember? Okay, because
yes.
Yeah.
It's is estimated that we forget about 90% of the dreams because we have
Very
several
good.
dreams during the night, but we usually only remember the last one. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, and what I see actually a connection between what Frédéric is doing and Taisija is doing. Frédéric, what do you think about creating those landscapes, yes, of the dreams, because people they are moving, they're experiencing, they have all those emotions that should be reflected in facial expressions and whatnot. Yes, during the dream, they're visiting different places. Actually, some people were working on this, dreamers. There was a group of dreamers actually who were experimenting, and they were creating maps of their dreams. And it turned out, at least for some of them, that there were specific places that they would visit in different dreams. So you can create all that map and all those experiences. So what do you think about that, about the connection, what Taisija is doing and you're doing?
But I'm not aware. I haven't looked into like I haven't filmed myself ever while I sleep. No. One thing I know for sure that when we started very early on in the project, that's in 2017, when we started with video games, one of the thing I was warned about was, oh, but when we play video games, we have poker face. That's something that people say, oh, it's not gonna work. When we play video games, we have a poker face. And then I played my first game while filming myself, and I was like, no, I mean, I'm just like, it looks almost like I'm crazy. We make so many faces without noticing that we do. Now the first question would be, do we have the same expressions when we dream, and is it as much intense or is it not? So that's the first thing. But then, I mean, I'm sure I know that we experience emotions while dreaming. The question is, we experience them. Can we measure them? And this is definitely beyond EEG. It's definitely something that could contribute to better decoding the dreams, or at least the emotional states that comes with the dream. And one thing that could maybe be interesting, I haven't worked on this specific question, but this is something that's kind of like my obsession is. We live entertainment experiences. Now, it's a very applied consideration in my field, but what makes the difference between a entertainment experience that was satisfying and one that is memorable, one that you come and the way I put it is you do an entertainment experience on Saturday. What is the thing that makes it that Monday you need to talk about it because it turns into this word of mouth marketing? Now, I wonder if the same thoughts could be applied to dreaming. That is, what makes a dream forgettable and what makes a dreams unforgettable? And maybe Taisija, you already have an answer in this, but no, if we're forgetting 90%, I'd say that we forget 90% of what we eat when we think about it. So what is this threshold that made something memorable? And on this we have like a similar question of interest, because that's really like what, in terms of recommendations, my field, if I can say this is the ingredient to make it memorable, that's a gold mine right there.
Yes, and indeed, some dreams it's so intense, yes, and you tell everyone about it because it was just so wild, yes. What makes it so different from other dreams, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have an additional comment because there is also active mechanism of dream forgetting which works in our brain and is believed to be specifically to not mix the dreamed actions and emotions with the real world. So yeah, sometimes there are two theories to check, right? One is that some dreams are so powerful, so emotional that because of that we remember them, and another is that actually maybe sometimes these mechanisms in our brain just doesn't fire, and this is why we remember the dreams more clearly than usual. But this mechanism is here, yes, and it's studied quite well.
Yeah, no, thank you. And like Frederica wrote in the chat that we need to follow up on that. So let's do it. And maybe we can have even a Neurocareers podcast just dedicated to this, and we can discuss all this amazing stuff. So, okay, let's move on. Thank you, Taisija. Thank you, everyone, for questions. Who would like to go next and talk about project? Because we also need to give suggestions on the events and opportunities in the field. So, who would like to go now? Emmanuel or Jamie?
Let's go, Emmanuel. Maybe I can take later.
Okay, let's do it. Emmanuel, what's on your plate? What's going on?
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. So it's been a wonderful conversation this morning. I mean, I've learned a great deal, even as like one of the panelists on board. So what's my idea, or what I'm cooking at the moment? So a bit of a disclaimer, I'm a neophyte. I mean, I'm a BCI enthusiast and have not really gotten my hands dirty into the field and all that. So I'm more into like self-learning and all that. So what's my idea about? So because I'm from a electronic and electrical engineering background, and oftentimes before we dish out products, we prototype on different software so that we check the behavior of the devices before we go into like the real designs and like delivering them to people who are actually in need of those particular products. So I came up with an idea of especially for prosthetics design. So I noticed that oftentimes people in the medical line who like come up with like prosthetics designs and make recommendations for them. So there's no platform that actually bridges the designs with the compatibility of the patients that wear them. So I know this might sound very, very, it might sound being over generalistic, but what I mean is that how about we have a platform that is like designed for subjects. So let's say we have like a BCI recording of like motor imagery of a particular patient trying to make different movements with their hands, and we get that particular signal, we process the signals, then we feed them into a software that helps us to evaluate how the prosthetics that will be used for that particular subject to behave under their brain signals. So that is what that's the angle which I'm coming from. So I'm coming from the angle of, okay, let's approach the world of neuroprosthetics in another fashion, where we have a recording, like a motor imagery recording of somebody's brain signals. Then based on the feedback from there, it informs the type of motors, the types of like electrical devices that will be stimulated for the prosthetics. Now the second part is also a feedback system, in which even after like you've gotten feedback and you have gone into your design, when patients wear these prosthetics, we are able to like get the brain signals as the prosthetics, like as the person is using that particular device, you are able to like get real-time brain recordings from them. Then after getting them, you compare them with the initial results you have, and you get the error between what you feed into the system and what you have. And this helps you to, it gives you like an informed decision about which parts of their brains are not well stimulated, and based on that feedback you can actually assist them in their neurorehabilitation process. So that's like the whole idea I have. So how far have I gone about the project? So I'm actually starting from the angle of like using Physionet's 2000 BCI data, EEG recording to at least try a left hand movement and a right hand movement motion, so that I can actually understand the architecture of how things are being built before I can now at least like fashion my own system, then deploy my project as well. So yes, that's how far I've come across. So I just need feedback from you guys, and does the idea make sense? I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of fuzzing my brain. Yeah.
Yes, and great, great to hear that you're already doing it. Yes, you don't wait to complete your PhDs, yes, or postdoc. You are already getting your hands dirty, and that's very important. And this is what I tell to most of the people who come to my consultations, that develop your own project. Start working on your own idea. That is so important. So that's a huge accomplishment. So thank you for sharing, Emmanuel. Who would like to give any feedback? Jaime, I think you are familiar, yes, with the motor BCIs. Maybe yes, you have something to share with.
Yeah, to be honest, it's so interesting that you even in its early stage of the career of undergraduate, I mean, you're approaching its problems, this challenge about motor imagery BCI. Usually, I am enthusiastic about the data science approach for motor imagery. Recently, we had also a paper. Actually, yesterday we got the acceptation about changing the way of how we can learn or train the classifiers, because my conception is that we are missing a lot of information when we are just focusing on motor cortex. Of course, it's important that motor cortex is where its motor imagery activity comes from. However, we can also focus in other areas that could improve or at least increase the information about what is going on during the imagery activity, because imagery is not purely motor related potential activation, but also we involved during imagery some occipital and posterior areas, and also frontal areas could be involved in terms of the attention we need to pay during this imagery activity. So in this paper, we proposed change a little bit approach of the picture extraction and training of the classifiers. So instead of using the full layer of the channels to create the classification, we create an individual classifier for each channel. So one classifier for this channel, one classifier for this channel, and we created kind of a pool of 64 channels for a full array of 64 channels, of course. We found that there is an increase of the accuracy when we put these small classifiers into a ensemble algorithm in order to get in the best decision for each of them. And yes, having this whole information for each classifier could give us better accuracy. So I guess there are several technical challenges and software challenges we need to face during this modern imagery, and there's a long way. Right now, I'm very enthusiastic to see about that, about your project, Peter. It seems very amazing. And then it's also important in the application you are looking for.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And Emmanuel and Jamie for your feedback. And Jamie, we already heard actually quite a few things. You are busy. You are keeping yourself busy. But what's your main project right now? What you're working on?
Okay, I could say that my work is in two sides. My first side is the research activities, of course, my PhD thesis, and my other side is the dissemination of the BCI activities in South America. As Milena introduced a little bit about this. I will talk about my thesis firstly. And yeah, I am following a little bit of the work presented by Fred early in this meeting. I am focusing in understanding mental states when we interact with robots, with human and robots to be more precise. We have this Neuro robot. It's a very famous human robot. And I am focusing in understanding emotions, mental judgment, and cognitive load as a priority, as a mental states during several interaction activities in mobile setups. So, for example, in the emotions, we just plan to replicate some of the most important stimuli in literature in order to measure EEG and face. I agree with Fred about this face recognition of face expression are very important to identify and classify the emotions. And we are trying to just creating this database in order to have this multimodality in the signals. We are including EEG, GCR, ADA activity, and also the face. But the new approach here, it's about what we perceive as emotion, because the usual approach is having this arousal and balance, dominance, and liking dimensions. We are following this, but we wanted to introduce a new dimension about, because emotions, in some sense, they are very precise, because I really know what I'm feeling, right? Kind of, I really feel angry. I really feel sad, or I really I could describe this very precise what I'm feeling. But in other cases, it's blurry. We can kind of grasp a concept of what I am feeling right now. It is a mix of things. I am feeling stressed because I had a work today, but also I feel enthusiastic because we meet each other, but I am tired, whatever. So our approach includes another dimension called abstractness or concreteness of the emotion. So we include this dimension in order to reduce the difficulties in classifying the EEG signals in terms of emotion classification. So we are creating, instead of multi-class classification, we are creating a multi-level classification where the precise emotion will be classified as a multi-class, as a precise level. Miyagi, the abstract emotion will be classified as a multi-label problem where instead of having a precise label, we're going to have probabilities of different emotions, ranked, in the most perceived emotions. So we are going to use now robot to induce several emotional states and also compare it with the baseline stimuli. So that is one of the sides, the emotional side. The other side is the moral judgment. We are reproducing some of the moral machine scenarios. The moral machine, it's trolley problem with autonomous vehicles when you need to decide or you need to check what is the best decision, the moral decision or moral judgment when autonomous vehicles face this moral dilemma, like sparing more lives or less lives, or sparing humans' lives against pets, something like that. If you don't know this moral machine, I can share with you the moral machine experiment, because it's a online experiment and it's very nice, and you can contribute, of course, with the metric. There is already the paper published in Nature. It is not my paper, it's not my project, but of course it's nice. You can check out about this. So we are introducing this scenario with the robot making decisions, and the human observing how the robot can do this, can make these moral decisions. And also we compared the role. We changed the role when the human is making the moral judgment and the robot is observing. And we plan to check the EEG signatures can be similar, because one of the intention is check if the humanoid robots can induce the same social behavior as other humans induce on us. When we are feeling observed by other humans, we change our behavior, our decisions. So that is our hypothesis behind this experiment, just to check if this robot observation will change the answers of the subjects in the moral judgment. Finally, the cognitive load, it's a very tricky experiment we are planning in order to introduce a new struct task. I will share with this later in our publication. But we are introducing an innovative way and a mobile way to measure cognitive load using humanoids. So this is the big picture of my thesis, just understanding better these human mental states using humanoid robots. And in the other side, I advocate to disseminate BCI in Latin America. It started with undergraduate groups in 2019 until 2021 in my home city, in Colombia. Later, I started a research line in Envigado, in the Institute of University of Envigado, in order to develop research and science activity. And in this stage, I developed several projects for training students and getting some BCI activities and hands-on experience. And later, this developed in a big conference called Latin American Workshop in Computational Neuroscience. It was in 2023. And it was very amazing because in the placard of the speakers, we had 4 big names, worldwide renowned scientists, coming to Colombia and talk about his and her research in BCI. And for us, it was very amazing because Envigado it's not a big city, and it is not well known for scientific research activities. And we put into focus this city because BCI and because these research activities. So we started with this event in 2017 in Brazil, and for the 4th edition, it took place in Colombia, and the next edition is taking place in Argentina this year. And again, we have several BCI researchers. Also, we will count on Milena for this LOCN 25. She will, I guess, host the podcasts in LOCN 25, and we are very happy about this. Again, the idea is disseminate BCI activities through South America. Actually, today we submitted a symposium for the next year in the Falan. Falan is the neuroscience, the big neuroscience conference in South America. So we hope we got we apply for this, and we hope to get this opportunity to disseminate more the BCI Latin American community. Actually, that is the big step we are taking right now. We are creating the BCI Latin America community. I will share with you. We created a small link to the website. It is not moved a lot, to be honest, but we are going to start with this dissemination very, very soon. This is voluntary activity, so it's very complicated to have a lot of stuff early right now. We planned to do official launch in the Lausi end. And after that, we planned to disseminate more about our work, because this is a collaborative work with researchers from Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico. And we are writing right now meta-analysis in order to understanding the BCI production in Latin America, how we can create a road path in order to foster collaboration among Latino researchers, and also understanding better what is the trends of the BCI research in Latin America to potentialize, to boost the research activities in Colombia, maybe through opportunities, collaborations, events, training, and so on. So yeah, that is my dissemination activities. We hope in the near future to have this BCI Latin America community more consolidated, more solid, and maybe why not start with the series of conference about BCI in Latin America. So yeah, that is for my side.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I added all those links into the chat. So for those who are watching us, when we during the event, the links into the chat, you cannot click on them. You need to copy and paste them into your browser. But later I can go in and edit, and you will be able to click. But right now, just copy paste, and you will get into those sites. So thank you very much, Jamie. And it's time to mention opportunities, any conferences, events, workshops, maybe job opportunities you know about in your respective field, or general in the field of neurotech BCI. So you already started, yes, Jamie, with the conference in Argentina this November. So the link is in the chat. Please join the conference. I think that's an amazing event, and I see how much effort and love is put into that event. It really, really, really means a lot. So anything else? Taisija, Frédéric, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I would just repeat that you can also participate in our research, even if you are not a researcher yourself, but just fill up our forum and become a beta tester.
Yes, that's very interesting. Taisija, can you tell a little bit more? So what, how we will be able to do it? Will we have a headset? Oh, I'm getting excited here.
Yeah, so basically we're now just collecting the list of possible beta testers, because we will also need to have at least from the start people with a good dream recall, for example. So if you remember your dreams very well, or maybe you have even lucid dreams sometimes, don't hesitate to do it. Yeah, at this point, it will be an experiment with the headset, yes. I cannot tell right now what headset, but
Yes. Yeah. So please participate, and this is amazing team. Taisija is collaborating with the amazing people, and yeah, that's a great opportunity. So okay. Frédéric, anything you would like to mention? Yeah.
So in terms of opportunities, if you want, I have a Discord server and a YouTube channel. So part of my mission, I try to create the path to for people who wants to develop brain-computer interface, I'd say, in the applied, no, so a little bit outside of labs and academia. So I try to bring and explain my path. No, I replicate. I'm in a project on YouTube to replicate all the experiments I've done over the past 10, 15 years. So that if someone wants to get started in the field of brain-computer interface, and I try to make it very accessible. So I start with the Muse and explain share the code and show what can be done with a device as simple as a Muse. It's still enough to get introduced to the field. And eventually I want to provide this, document this that I've been through to learn about the technology, so that if anybody is interested in the field, they can just follow. And I try to make it as accessible as possible. It's kind of part of the brain-computer interface brought me so much joy and interest that I want to provide the opportunity for the next generation to jump in. And I already count myself as an older generation, but no, the newcomers, so that you have it easier than I did. I had to find my information back then. But if you can move faster to where I am, then you can take the flame and bring the field further. Hopefully.
Yes.
So much to discover still.
Yes, thank you so much. And I added this information as well. Emmanuel, anything you would like to add? Maybe you know about something.
Okay, all right. So just like Jaime, myself and some of my colleagues in College of Health Sciences, we have like a summer school currently running for secondary school students in Ile-Ife, Nigeria here. So yes, I would like you guys to follow her page. The name of the page is Neuro Aspire. So it's to ignite the fire of neuroscience early enough in secondary school students and kids, so that they can also see that beyond the walls of a good number of barriers that might want to militate against them. Yes, they can also at least be persons of great impact in the field of neuroscience as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe the last thing that we can very briefly just mention before we end, with all those respective fields that you are working in, what do you think are the opportunities that are opening for people who want to join the BCI field?
I can start with something.
Yes.
I'll try to make it brief.
Yes.
But first of all, I just want to make sure that people understand that the field of brain-computer interface, it is a small field. It is a niche a career opportunity. So, no, people who go in this field, there's a lot of fun, but no, keep your mind open that you might find something else along the way, and no, don't try to be overly focused on brain-computer interface, because I'm afraid you might hit some roadblocks. There are so many opportunities. Use it as a driving force for your interest. I always share with everyone this little fun fact. Brain-computer interface was not my number one choice for a career path, as surprisingly as it can be. And I ended up going in that direction because my plan A failed. So you see, you can still succeed and have a lot of pleasure, but use it as a driving force, but don't close your eyes to other opportunities, because it is a restricted field. Those of us who manage to have a career in this is kind of like a long-lasting career. It's kind of exceptional, but so that's my first thing. But it's growing. It is a field that is growing. There's many more companies that are doing it right now than there were. If I can say, what is the one thing that I think is really coming up? It's quite recent. Taisija is working a little bit on it, or at least maybe not exactly it, but first there's all foundation models. The second thing, I read recently the paper Sensor LM by Google, which is they basically train an LLM with biodata with language. And I can tell you that this solves a huge problem in our field, that is to interpret the data. You need to have a level of expertise. And this is the main, blocking factor for adoption of our technology by non-experts, is that they don't know how to work with the data. And the big trend right now in many fields is to be able to chat with your data. So building something like a foundation model, an LLM, combined with biotechnology such that you can talk with your data, is definitely something that is hot right now. So that's my today's thing to look into.
Yeah,
I'll share the paper in the chat, okay?
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Frédéric. Taisija, Emmanuel, Jamie?
Yeah, I can add that more generic probably things which are applicable in all science and art as well is that don't afraid to collaborate, don't afraid to share ideas because you build these ideas, right? So, and don't be afraid to go out from this zone of only BCIs, as Frédéric said, and also don't be afraid to mix some art into the science. So be really multi-skill. This is I think is a scientist of the future. Yeah, so basically it. And I also agree that, and now it's the age of the artificial intelligence, of the deep learning models. So this is something you can learn and use even if you go out from the BCIs. But now the more we go into the BCI field, the more there's the need of the complex, difficult, very big models to do something very interesting with our brains. So this is something really to have a skill in.
Thank you very much, Taisija. Yes, and if anybody from Lithuania is watching us, we will have a course at Vilnius University on adaptive neurotechnologies that Taisija and I are teaching. Yes, starting this September already. Yes, it's coming. So, if you are listening, please join our course, Department of Biophysics and Neurobiology. Okay, that's also an opportunity to get into the field. And by the way, I also want to mention, thank you very much for that. Was a great reminder that I am starting to teach this same course on adaptive neurotechnologies, but already for the first time at the University of North Florida. So if anybody is watching us, yes, University of North Florida, please, we're starting actually this Monday, but you still can get in. So looking forward to teaching you about neurotechnologies and, of course, brain-computer interfaces. So thank you. And Emmanuel? Mm-hmm. Emmanuel shared already something? I think yes. Emmanuel shared. Yes, Emmanuel?
Okay. So for me,
Yeah.
it would be I'll be coming from the angle of like my field of study, because I know a good number of, like, we deal with a lot of problems such as artifacts whenever you are doing like AG data acquisition. So a field of study that one can actually delve into that's really more like good is actually the field of like crafting hardware devices that can help in reducing like artifacts. So they like hardware devices that provide more noise immunity while collecting EEG data sets. So it's more like you are looking into the fabrication of like analog devices and embedded systems that helps you to like help your BCI devices scale more, because you do a lot of heavy work performing signal processing on the models and everything. So how about even while collecting the data, the hardware devices being constructed are able to mitigate against noise in real time, so that the GPU you are using or the CPU you are using would not be stressed over time. So that's one field to look into. So if you are in electrical engineering, or you are in any computer, even if you are in computer engineering as well, so you'd want to maybe tailor your career towards solid state devices that can help like BCI devices get smarter and reduce time complexity overall. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, I invite everyone to listen to our Neurocareers podcast, because you'll hear and Frédéric's interview, Jaime's, Taisija's, and we'll have many more. I think the next one is coming with Ramses Al-Qaeda. So please join our Neurocareers, our newsletter. And next month, September, we will have our live event again. So please join us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It was incredible to have this amazing panel. I wish you all the best, and looking forward to seeing how your project developed. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.